On today's episode of The Lawyer You Know, I'm going to explain how you fire an employee without getting sued. Most bosses don't look forward to the day they have to terminate an employment relationship, but unfortunately it's a reality of the job. And many times the employees don't see it coming. Sometimes employees think it's a reason for discrimination or some other wrongful termination, and they turn around and sue that employer. And while we can't prevent anybody from being sued for any reason at any time, as I always say, people can sue you for anything at any time, especially in America today. The tips I'm going to provide are how to protect against those lawsuits and make sure you're setting it up as a legitimate termination. Tip number one is don't discriminate. If you discriminate against one of your employees because of their race, religion, national origin, creed, sexual orientation, gender, disability, or any other protected class, then you deserve to get sued, and you can stop watching the video now, because this is tips for legitimate termination when you need to make budget cuts or when it's about work performance. And when you do those things, and when you need to do those things, you can set it up in a proper way so everyone's okay at the end of that employment relationship. And tip number two is documentation. Make sure you document everything. Document when they were hired, document what their job responsibilities are, make sure they know what their job responsibilities are, and document every issue you have with that individual employee. It may be job performance issues, document it. Maybe issues with other employees, just personality clashes, document it. There may be complaints from clients or customers about that employee, document it. There may be complaints about other employees with their employees, document it. Document everything. Document every time you have this kind of negative interaction with an employee, and keep a file on all the employees where when it ends, you can have that documentation should something pop up in the future. Number three, counsel, constructive criticism, and rehabilitation. Anytime you have an issue with an employee, make sure you counsel them. Critique them, give them constructive criticism, how they can get better, how they can improve, how can they rehab the situation, and then give them the opportunity to improve. Don't just counsel them to counsel them. Counsel them so they can actually get better at their job, and give them that opportunity. Again, document every time you counsel them, document every time you give them constructive criticism, and document how they've done throughout that rehab process and if they have improved. Give them that opportunity. Because if you don't give them that opportunity and you just fire them, but you give that opportunity to other people, they may then complain and say it was unfair and you don't handle things equally because of the way that they look or because of whatever religion they have or whatever it may be. And then they may turn it into something that looks like discrimination because you're not applying the same rules across the board. Counseling and constructive criticism can go a long way if you get sued for any discrimination or wrongful termination purpose. You can say and point to the documentation that you have, that you gave them chance after chance, you gave them the proper counseling and constructive criticism, and you gave them the opportunity to improve, and they still didn't. Or you gave them the opportunity to apologize to another employee or apologize to a customer they may have offended, and they didn't. They did the same mistake over and over. They were rude to customers over and over again. They fought with every new employee we put in the chair next to them. You can have that documentation, you can have that rehab and constructive criticism, you can have that counseling all documented to say, we tried to make this work and it just didn't work for some other legitimate purpose. Number four, the last tip, communication and attitude. Communicate everything honestly and fairly to the employee so they know what you expect from them. They know when they're not meeting those expectations or they know when they're exceeding those expectations. Make sure your attitude is fair with this employee. Don't treat them poorly. Don't be condescending. Don't be rude, because that's just going to want to make them turn around and sue you at the end of the process, no matter if you had a legitimate reason or not. Your attitude and your communication can go so far in an employment relationship, even when it ends, that it can save you a lot of time and a lot of money at the end. Nobody gets sued more than jerky bosses, condescending bosses, bosses that are rude to their employees, that scream and curse and demean their employees. They're the ones that get sued, whether they did anything or not, because the employee just leaves with a bad taste in their mouth. So to recap, don't discriminate, document everything, counsel, critique, and rehab your employees as best as you can, and make sure to have good communication and a fair attitude with all the employees that you have. And that's the best way to keep from getting sued if you do have to fire an employee. The goal is to eliminate the negligence, eliminate the indifference of the safety around you, and in this video, to eliminate the discrimination and the wrongful termination from the workplace. That's why I do these videos. I want to let people know how they can eliminate this wrongful activity so less people are getting hurt, less people are getting wrongfully terminated, and more people are doing things the legal way. That's why I do these videos. And if you like that information and you want more of it, hit the subscribe button because I'm going to keep putting out this type of content. Hit the like so I can know which content you like best.